The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
Today is Wednesday, March 8th, 2023. Thank you so much for joining me. The question of how absurd this country can become, or how absurd will we be, I think we're answering it in real time as the entire nation is having to respond to the propaganda from Fox News and Tucker Carlson in their attempt. In their collective attempt. It's not just Fox News and Tucker Carlson. This is the full-on assault by conservatism on history. They are flexing their muscles to demonstrate their capacity to change the narrative of history in real time. Facts be damned. Video doesn't matter. Truth doesn't matter. We are literally underneath a full-blown psychological operation where the entire nation is being gaslit by one media company in particular, one pundit in particular, yes, but the entirety of the conservative echo chamber, from podcasters to YouTubers to Elon Musk on Twitter, to all of the actors in their various places, to the politicians in their various places, doing the conservative politicians doing their role in creating an alternate reality, an alternate narrative that says that January 6th did not really happen. It was a tourist event and that it wasn't a violent insurrection. And what they're trying to do, as we discussed yesterday, they are attempting to create critical mass where they can create political action out of a lie, out of something that Tucker Carlson manufactured from thin air. They want to be, the conservative movement, the Republicans in this country, they want to be able to move people into action based on the false idea that has been put out by Fox News and Tucker Carlson that January 6th was merely a tourist event. This idea has been planted and regurgitated over and over and over again, hundreds of thousands of times, millions of times across social media, millions of views across all of conservative mainstream media and all of their YouTube channels. They have the capacity of creating a narrative. They're masters of it. And it doesn't help that we have the likes of Kevin McCarthy, Speaker of the House, who, while he has already been caught on audio confessing that he knows what January 6th was and how violent it was, decided today to stand behind his decision to give the surveillance videos over to Tucker Carlson, who throughout this week so far has done his best to rewrite history. Listen in.
Because of the footage that you gave Tucker Carlson last night, he went on and said this was a mostly peaceful chaos, as he said. He downplayed Brian Sicknick's death, said it was not related to January 6th, said this was not an insurrection. Do you regret giving him this footage so he could whitewash the events of that day?
No, I said at the very beginning, transparency. And so what I wanted to produce for everybody is exactly what I said, that people could actually look at it and see what's gone on that day. So.
But why, Mr. Speaker, would you agree with his portrayal of what happened that day?
Look, each person can come up with their own conclusion, but what I just wanted to make sure is I had transparency.
Do you believe
This is the equivalent of telling everyone to do their own research. He wanted everyone to come to their own conclusions. Really? Is that what you wanted? Because what happened was no one was able to come to their own conclusions. Tucker Carlson created a very specific narrative. And of course, he knows that, right? And are we even wasting time discussing what we already know? They understand very well that they are hypocritical liars. They know that they look at the American people every single day and lie right through their veneers. They lie right to us every single day. So does it even make sense to point this out? Yes. Why? Because we need every person to have a record of the absurdity of this time. We need people to bear witness, because as these individuals attempt to change history, we need as many people as possible to understand that that's what's happening. And this is what Kevin McCarthy, as Speaker of the House, is doing. He's playing with American history. In this moment, the sitting Speaker of the House is playing a game of hypocrisy in order to help individuals who try to overthrow this government. He is still to this moment aiding and abetting individuals that he knows. Kevin McCarthy, listen to this audio of Kevin McCarthy shortly after January 6th recorded, where he indicates he understands the level of violence that this group represented, but now he's playing the game of transparency. Take a listen.
One officer got killed. I went down and said they got broken arms. You don't understand what was transpiring at that moment in that time. People hanging, people brought ropes. When I got back into my building, I found the straps that they had. I don't know they'd come and try to kidnap somebody or whatever, but they were well planned for it.
He sounds very concerned about the January 6ers there. This is audio that was just released from CNN. It's not new audio. It's already been established that Kevin McCarthy knew that this was a threat. But now, in order to pacify his base, in order to help try to secure the freedom of men who came to the Capitol with the express intention of overturning the democratically elected election results. This is the sitting Speaker of the House, which tells me that the threat to the United States of America is inside the House. This is not breaking news, but just the extent to which the individuals who are intent on overthrowing democracy have accomplices in the most powerful positions in the country. That is alarming. And that should set off red alerts and red flags throughout the entirety of this system. And, most of Americans get it. Most of Americans who look at this get it. But unfortunately, I don't think most Americans are even looking at this, if we could be just quite frank. I think most Americans are looking at whatever's happening in Hollywood, whatever's happening on TMZ. Most of America is paying attention to that and not even aware of the level of threat that's actually coming, that's here. The threat to the freedoms that most Americans enjoy. And this is not to slam the average American who's not paying attention. This is just to say the system is 100% designed to keep us looking away, to keep us distracted by the entertainment system, by the entertainment complex, so that we don't pay attention to the fact that the men who want to install a Christian nationalist state have accomplices in this country at the highest levels of power. And all Kevin McCarthy has to do in order to aid and abet those men who are some sitting in jail, but others are sitting at home. Others are sitting at home planning the next one. And in fact, the men who are in jail, they're now putting out videos of them singing the Star Spangled Banner every night and praying every night. They're in jail organizing for the next strike. And these individuals have accomplices in the highest levels of government. And, here's something. I want to play a couple of clips of responses from Democrats, one response from Congress and another from the press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, with the statement, a more definitive statement condemning Tucker Carlson. Before I play those clips, I just want to kind of emphasize the importance of this particular moment, because out of all the things that are happening in this, what I truly believe is a push towards an authoritarian state to literally overthrow democracy. That's what's happening right now in real time. And it's being cheered on by Fox News. It's being amped on and promoted and pushed by Tucker Carlson. And out of all of the different components of this movement that's occurring right now, this moment is particularly important because it represents the strength of conservative propaganda and almost the complete and total helplessness of the rest of this country to fight back against a single media outlet and a single political host who was able to make this much of an impact on the national discourse. We're seeing conservative media flex its biggest muscle right now, which is their strength juxtaposed next to our inability to stop them right now. And this is why you have responses from the White House, because, well, this is a significant threat to democracy. Here's Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
We agree with the chief of Capitol Police and the wide range of bipartisan lawmakers. You heard them all yesterday. You guys reported on it, who have condemned this false depiction of the unprecedented violent attack on our Constitution and the rule of law, which cost police officers their lives. And that's what we saw on that day, on a very dark day, an attack on our democracy. And so we also, as it relates to the Tucker Carlson question, we agree with Fox Nation's own attorneys and executives who have repeatedly stressed in multiple courts of law that Tucker Carlson is not credible when it comes to this issue in particular. And we have, NPR back in September of 2020. They had the following: you literally can't believe the facts Tucker Carlson tells you. So say Fox's lawyers. Again, in Washington Post, most recently, just a day ago, Fox executive Hannity Carlson shows are not credible sources of news. And so to have said what he said when we saw Capitol police officers lose their lives, or police officers lose their lives, is just shameful.
It is shameful that someone who we all know is not credible still has the most power in this country in terms of setting a narrative. That's the biggest shame here. And I appreciate every statement that she made there, because it is important to point out the fact that Fox's own attorneys suggest that these host, especially Tucker Carlson, they're not credible. That's important. But the moment that is so disturbing right now is the fact that despite statements from the White House, despite statements from Congress people, I'll play one from Jim McGovern, who has been doing a phenomenal job on his floor speeches. Despite all of the condemnations, even the bipartisan condemnation, the fact that Mitch McConnell came out against it, the narrative that is now being pushed, echoed, regurgitated, and parroted is that January 6th was not a violent insurrection. And what we have now are competing narratives. One we know is an outright lie, but one that is in full competition with the truth because of the power of Tucker Carlson and Fox News and the conservative echo chamber. Here's Representative Jim McGovern giving a House floor speech about this very issue.
January 6th was an attack on our democracy, and now Tucker Carlson has chosen to side with the enemies of democracy. But what's most alarming about all of this, what's most dangerous, is that he was aided and abetted by Republican Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. I have to say, this is a new low. Speaker McCarthy's treacherous decision to coordinate with Tucker Carlson to deliberately distort what happened that day is beyond the pale. And the worst part is the blatant lying. On November 21st, 2020, Carlson said in private text that lies about voter fraud were, and I quote, shockingly reckless, and called the very conspiracy theories he was promoting on the air as insane and absurd to his colleagues.
You know, and here's the thing about Fox News. It's a privately held corporation. It's not a news organization, and yet it has the impact of an institution that carries the weight of a counterbalancing force. It has the power of the press. let me just get to it. It has the full power of the press in the pressure that it is able to apply to our entire system. I was going to say political leaders, but quite frankly, every part of the system, from political leaders down to school teachers who are having to change their lives in response to the broadcast of Fox News. One of the reasons we can't have a mask mandate in this country to help people survive COVID-19 was because of Fox News. And I'm saying the fact that this institute, this company, this private corporation carries the weight of an institution such that it has to be addressed from the floor of the House of Representatives. And in that address, in all of the speeches, being addressed from the press secretary, being addressed by all of these leaders, Fox News is still winning the narrative. They're still able to do what they want to do. And the rest of this country is completely at the mercy of their political agenda. Rupert Murdoch's political agenda. The conservative movement's political agenda. This is the absurdity of the moment. Progress in this country. Forget progress. The stability of this nation is dependent on whether or not we can survive Fox News. The rest of these media outlets, they're burgeoning. They're growing. They're not competitors yet. They're not contenders to go up against what Fox News is capable of doing. Fox News is capable of moving the dial as it pertains to how many people are dying from COVID-19. You were more likely to die of COVID-19 if you watched coverage from Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson. Studies actually demonstrate that. So all of these other companies, Newsmax and OAN and the rest of them, they're Daily Wire, that they're impactful. They help create the echo chamber. But it is Fox News and the power that it wields and the outsized impact and effect that it has on the national conversation, on the national discourse, in fact, on the well-being of the nation as a whole. That is what is absurd. And it is completely underneath the control of people who have the worst intentions for democracy and humanity.
Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and get twice the content and unfiltered interviews without any of the commercial interruptions. Welcome back to The Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at thebenjamindixonshow.com.
Welcome back. Just before the break, I said that Fox News and this propaganda machine is underneath the control of people who have the worst intentions for democracy and humanity. And just when I was like, well, maybe Ben, maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic about them having the worst of intentions for humanity. Just when I had a moment of giving these scoundrels the benefit of the doubt. It's a shame that greater humanity in me sneaks up every now and then. Just when I gave these scoundrels the benefit of the doubt, the article that I'm reading now, Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee-Sanders signs a law loosening child labor protections. I'll be reading from the Washington Post. This is just breaking today. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee-Sanders signed into law this week legislation that rolls back significant portions of the state's child labor protections. The law eliminates requirements for the state to verify the age of children younger than 16 before they can take a job. Sanders believes the provision was burdensome and obsolete, spokeswoman Alex Henning said in an emailed statement. Remaining state and federal regulations are still in effect, she said. Sanders signed the Republican-backed bill on Tuesday. Federal officials have pledged to crack down on child labor law offenses after regulators discovered hundreds of violations in meatpacking plants after press reports emerged of children working in hazardous occupations around the country. We've covered some of those stories here on this podcast. The fact that we actually are living in an era of child labor. And the fact that we have Sarah Huckabee-Sanders as one of her very first acts as governor of the state of Arkansas. Let's keep in mind that she is the nepotism's pick. She's the child of a former governor, Mike Huckabee, presidential candidate and bass player. Never mind the fact that she's nepotism's pick. The very first thing that this child of nepotism chooses to do, or one of the first things she chooses to do with her power as governor, is to ensure the possibility of even more child labor. Because of why? Her justification? Because it was burdensome to corporations and obsolete. Obsolete in what way, Governor Sanders? Obsolete in the sense that America is moving away from protecting children, and protecting children is a thing of the past. Protecting children from child labor is a thing of the past. And so, yeah, in that sense, if that is your perspective, then I can see how you would think this was obsolete. There is really no satisfaction for the greedy. And there really is no bottom to the depth of depravity that these politicians will go in order to reward their donors, the greedy. I mean, they're all greedy, but politicians, they jump like lapdogs for secondhand greed because this money doesn't go to them directly. It goes to their campaigns, bigger campaigns and, of course, bigger staff and bigger notoriety. So the residuals fall onto the politicians like Sarah Huckabee-Sanders. She gets the residual effect of whatever bonuses she can get off the crumbs from her master's table. But at the end of the day, what reigns in this country, as much now as it always has, if not more, is the unfettered greed, such that it will seek out child labor. Why? Well, because children don't know what they don't know to stand up for themselves by joining a union. If they're not going to go and seek union coverage, they're not going to demand a higher wage. They're not going to complain about unfair treatment. Most of them are just simply, if a child is in a position where they have to work, they're trying to survive. They're desperate. They had children working in hazardous conditions in Alabama in meatpacking factories. Do you know the kind of trauma a child must be in, the kind of state a child must be in to have to go and take a job, let alone take a job like this? Like the jobs that the federal investigators are finding children in, the dangerous and hazardous jobs. But does that register? Does any of that bit of humanity register with the likes of Sarah Huckabee-Sanders or the many corporations for whom this protection was burdensome and obsolete? No, it doesn't register there, because these good God-fearing Christians, these white evangelicals who are going to be at their conferences and their church services on this, they're going to be singing hallelujah to the height. They're going to be shouting and praising on this coming Sunday. these people are making way for child labor to come back in this country. Oh, I'm sorry, it's already back. Federal regulators and federal investigators are having to root it out. And here, Sarah Huckabee-Sanders is making it more possible. For some strange reason, the Republican Party is now looking to Marjorie Taylor Greene for leadership. At least Kevin McCarthy in the House of Representatives has aided and abetted the rehabilitation of her image. And it goes far beyond her new budget for hair and makeup. It goes to the point of us seeing her in the role of Speaker of the House. Here is the announcement where Kevin McCarthy appointed today Marjorie Taylor Greene to be Speaker pro temp.
The Speaker's Rooms, Washington, D.C., March 8, 2023. I hereby appoint the Honorable Marjorie Taylor Greene to act as Speaker pro tempore on this day. Signed, Kevin McCarthy, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Pursuant to the order of the House of January 9th, 2023, the chair will now recognize members from the list submitted by the majority and minority leaders for morning hour debate. The chair will
no one gets more of an opportunity to rehabilitate their image than a white conservative. That just no one. I mean, this is an individual who has brought Marjorie Taylor Greene has brought the bottom feeding of American politics to Congress. I don't have to go down the list of things that she's done. I honestly don't have to go through the evidence that she is, quite honestly, just stupid. But what I really just want you to see, though, is the absurdity of our country being held hostage by not only some of the most bigoted people in the country, but just some of the most ignorant people in the country. And we're held hostage as they are given a makeover, not only in terms of their physical appearance, but in terms of all of the horrific things that they have fought for, stood for, fought against. I mean, they really are just the worst. But now we are sitting back watching Marjorie Taylor Greene be groomed for leadership. And it really just begs the question, what the hell is really going on in the Republican Party? George Santos, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, I would expect a better breed of traitors to be the ones who took down American democracy. I would expect a better breed of thinker to be behind, this fascist coup that we're living through. But the people that are being propped up and the people who are this individual in particular, she has managed to wield her power to rehabilitate her image. Now, is it going to work? Time is a funny thing. If she can manage to honestly have self-control and not have any more Neanderthal-lithic outbursts, then maybe this actually works. And in a few years, she's in a position to actually become Speaker of the House, which is what she stated that she wanted us to see her as. When she was given the gavel to open up one of the mornings of sessions of Congress, she tweeted out, "I could see myself doing this." So now the rest of America is having to go through this on-the-job training for someone as subpar as Marjorie Taylor Greene. Well, congratulations, Marge. It only in America. Only in America. I don't think that statement has ever been as poignant as it is right now. Only in America could Marjorie Taylor Greene rise to become a leader in one of the two major political parties. Take care, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.